Good day, folks. How are you?
Hello, doing well.
Hi, good morning.
One moment, please. I'm not hearing anything, so it must be my computer. Just a second.
Paul, I can hear you, and I think everyone else. I don't know if it's your computer.
I can hear you now. I just had the wrong set of a non-existent set of speakers set to play the music or play the sound. Well, Jill, nice to meet you finally. Thank you for the email you sent a bit ago. But yes,
Oh, nice to meet you as well. I'm excited to work with this community.
good. We'll wait a minute or two to see if anybody else joins us. But in general, it's John and I, and sometimes Mark Minier. But he requested a new time, and Sridhar, you just sent out a a, a doodle poll for that, correct?
Correct. Haven't. No, I think only one responded to that. I think.
I think I did, so maybe I'm the
Yeah.
only one that responded to it.
No, that poll was created based on your availability itself.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it will be green for you. I think one more person. Let me check. Maybe we should bring this topic again in today's call in next 1 hour.
Yeah, in the TSC call.
No, the governing board call now.
Oh, governing board call. Yes. And I have to see if I'm actually able to. I am not able to make that the governing board call because we moved it on top of a meeting I had already scheduled. But moving forward, I'll be able to make that time slot.
Okay. No problem. Then, yeah, Jill will be there. Good. So
Okay, good.
I'll introduce her to the board members.
Yeah, Sridhar, what is the board expecting this afternoon in terms of marketing updates?
Oh, I had shared the slides with you. It's just that I will introduce you, and for now, the only update we have from the marketing is around the OCP thing. So we said we'll be telling that, hey, we'll be discussing about OCP, and also you will be presenting the plan to the outreach committee today, and or you already presented it today, and we'll be working on that kind of something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure they weren't expecting to see the plan for the year because I did put together a draft, but I want to
No.
make sure that the committee is comfortable with it.
Correct. No, first
Got it.
outreach has to okay it, then we will take it to the board.
Okay.
We'll just show it to the board. Yeah. Before that, we won't do that. Yeah. Paul has to bless it.
Okay.
And just for my knowledge, I know we're going to be at the OCP MIA Summit. What are our plans? How far have we gotten in that planning aside from establishing that we're going to have a booth?
That is as far as we've gotten, as far as I know.
Okay.
I have reached out to I've reached out to not Dan Daly. Shoot, Sridhar, who is it that's in Ireland from Intel?
Oh, Mike Lynch.
Mike Lynch. Yes, Mike
Oh.
Lynch from Intel, because I know he's already in Ireland, but that's it. I don't know of anybody else. I know I cannot travel there. I don't have budget to travel to EMEA this quarter or next. So I won't be there, and I've not heard of anybody else other than Mike Lynch who might be able to be there because he's already in Ireland, but I'm not certain that he could support a booth the entire time
Right.
that it's open either.
Right, we need to have at least one other person there. Sridhar, I don't know, are you planning to attend? Or have we not gotten that far?
No, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
See, I'm waiting for Mike. Mike Lynch is recovering with some health issues, so he'll be back in a week or two. Once he's back, I'll be in a better position to talk to him. Maybe it's some of his team members can at least help us out there. And we will also try to see in TSC call, we will again bring up this topic in future weeks and see if any of the TSC members would be interested in that. So
Okay.
we'll see how it goes in upcoming weeks. Maybe by end of February we can make a final plan,
Okay,
because this is in the last week of April, if I'm right.
yeah, it's late April.
Yeah.
29 and 30. Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing it's just going to be us here. So, Jill, why don't you, if you've got a plan that you want to present that we can take a look at, we can do that, and then we'll go from there.
Sure, let me just find it in my disgustingly large number of open tabs that I have.
You and me both.
That's
Actually,
bad.
my machine crashed, and I lost hundreds of tabs.
Oh, that's the
So I'm
worst.
like trying to rebuild it. Yes,
Yeah.
it looks like that.
Yeah. It was
Mhm.
worse earlier. I closed a bunch of them out, so it wouldn't be quite so unruly, but.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just a rough plan that I put together, based on, this slide should look familiar. This is just a cut and paste of the board goals.
Mm-hmm.
So this plan that I put together is based on marketing strategies and tactics that can help the board achieve all of this. And it's, the information pulled is based on, I'm still getting up to speed on OPI, but I've had some discussions with Sridhar and with May. So yeah, we can kind of talk through this and change things where they need to be changed, dial up, dial down. If you guys have any other suggestions, that would be fantastic. Did you lose my screen? Can you
No, I see it now. It went kind of full screen. to
Okay, I've
presenting
locked
mode.
it, so. Where did it go? Okay, there it is. Is it back?
Yeah, we see it. I
Okay,
see it. Goal 1.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
So if from the board slide, it looked like the marketing play here is talking about use cases and industry positioning and how we can sort of up level that.
Yes.
So here are just some ideas of how to really talk about our use cases. I don't know how much you all follow some of the other projects here at the LF, but a lot of our projects, especially if you look at LF networking, have a published library of use cases or user stories that basically is just a quick and dirty overview of some real life examples of how the project is being used to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that format because it's like a 1 or 2 pager and it's really succinct. So something like that might be good. We could also turn these into blog posts, webinars, speaking sessions. Something we do a lot is take a speaking presentation that somebody has done, and oftentimes they're talking about use cases in those presentations, and we can easily turn that into a summary blog and just promote it and talk about it. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
And then of course, if we have something really compelling, I like to give press and analysts a heads up that this is what we're doing and how it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, participate in more events. It sounds like this group has a really good cadence with participating in OCP. So if there's other events that we want to up level and work with, certainly support that. I believe, is SmartNIC Summit off the table for 2025?
It was, I believe it is. They did not have one in 2024. And I don't believe that they're going to have one in 2025. I think they're focusing on the other flavor events that team did.
Okay, fair enough. I can take that out.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is pretty simple. And then moving on, a lot of these I think kind of flow in together. But this one is about tackling consumption and deployment barriers and celebrating success. So the focus that I put for this one is the OPI lab.
Okay.
I was on the technical call last week, and they mentioned the idea of, saying that the lab isn't really being used a lot, that maybe we could look into opening it up to other projects, inviting some broader representation from across the ecosystem and, talk about what we're doing there and maybe some collaborative efforts.
Okay.
Some other ideas I had, and this is something we do in other projects, is publish developer spotlight. So it's basically we send a Q&A Google form to developers or people in the technical community with some really basic questions like, what do you do for the project? What's your background? What do you like most? And
Perfect.
some people really like that. Other people are kind of shy and don't want any attention. But it's an easy way to kind of humanize the people behind the work. We can also do that with member companies. So, people can, that way there's not a personal name tied to it, but it sort of highlights what, F5 is doing for the project and the benefits that they're seeing.
Okay.
And then of course we can do all kinds of content pieces related to the lab, press releases, blogs. And one thing that I thought was interesting, and I forgot who I was speaking with about it, but it was either May or Sridhar told me that there's a white paper that's been drafted, but it's kind of stuck in reviews.
Yeah. It was started, never got past, I think, me reviewing it.
Okay.
So no one from the technical team ever reviewed it.
Okay. Well, I don't know what sort of shape it's in, but one idea is even before the paper is done, we could pull pieces from that and turn them into blog post summaries and potentially tease it as, stay tuned for the paper. Obviously, if it hasn't been through the technical community, we might want to be careful on how we position that.
Okay.
But that was just another idea of how we can sort of reuse and repurpose content. Because from what I understand, I don't think we have a ton of stuff in the sort of library right now. And so I think part of what we are trying to do is get the technical folks to engage and help us do some marketing stuff.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's part of it, is we need the technical folks to engage.
Yeah.
Sridhar, one of the things that I want the tech folks to weigh in on is the latest provisioning and lifecycle operator that NVIDIA has put out, the DPF, DOCA platform framework or something like that.
Did they blog about that? Because I think that came up in the
they did.
Yeah.
So NVIDIA has blogged about that. It was something that had been discussed in the group as a sorry, my dog just woke up and decided to bark. They blogged about it. It was something that's been discussed in some of the technical meetings as hey, Red Hat and NVIDIA are working on something, but we're not ready to share it. And then what they shared was a fully formed at gestation solution, rather than having OPI work on it with them. It was, here's the solution. OPI, do you want to do anything with it? And so I want to see, what does the technical community want to do with it? Do they want to do anything with that solution or not?
Yeah, I know there were some concerns about getting, promoting it yet because OPI isn't involved and they're not using OPI in it so far.
Right. But what I want to do is have the TSC determine, is that or a very similar motion what OPI wants to do for provisioning, and can we have NVIDIA donate that to OPI and work on it within OPI rather than just a separate
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, so it was proposed in the TSC for NVIDIA to come back and give a proposal to OPI on the OPI tie-in to that work, right?
Okay.
How we can consume that work and what are the proposals. So NVIDIA, I mean, Elad basically agreed to do that. So if you look at the meeting minutes, and I will be presenting the same in an hour or so, the whole this thing is we need to, there are success stories from these members and these vendors and other things. There should be an OPI tie-in for that. So that's what the TSC, even the Joe mentioned, and it was
Mhm.
proposed to Ila, then tell that, hey, it's all nice, but what's in it for OPI? How do we bring that work to OPI kind of a thing? So they said, okay, let me come back and give a proposal to OPI on the OPI tie-in of this work thing, right? And I think maybe in coming weeks we will hear from Elad exactly what you said, Paul.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, good. That, I mean, that I have been on the road and or at conferences or on PTO and have missed, I think, the last
Correct. So
last
the
two TSCs.
same thing we had we discussed with two other contexts. One is I had an onboarding meeting with Sushil from Red Hat, who has replaced Rashid as a
Okay.
governing board member. And we informed him, and also request him to take a look at this work and see how Red Hat also can bring in this to OPI and work with NVIDIA.
Mhm.
They're already doing it. And in general, as a strategy, we have requested Arpit will be who will be brought in as a strategic advisor for OPI for 2025. Right, leadership support. Under the leadership support, Arpit will be joining the governing board calls, and Arpit will be pushing for a generic approach for similar things that happens in future. Like any member or any vendor has a success story, how do we have a strong tie-in with OPI of those success stories?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the previous goal of really celebrating and talking about, how OPI is being used. And yeah, I mean, let's definitely follow this NVIDIA thing, because once we get a solid OPI tie-in, I think we can do a lot of marketing around that and what it looks like and the opportunities. And then once it's baked in a little bit more, the benefits and people or organizations talking about, what they're seeing from using that, if that's applicable.
Okay.
And then as far as that white paper, we can kind of table that for now, but I don't know if the content is still, if it's outdated or if it's something that we want to try and get out this year, or if we just want to kind of table it and, maybe focus elsewhere. I will leave that up to you all.
Yeah, so that's the approach from now, or from the TSC also is to bring in a technical writer, right? I think I mentioned to you.
Oh, yeah, you did mention that. Uh-huh.
So we will be using the technical writer to complete these kind of pending activities along with the quick start guides and other writing articles on things on use cases more from the technical point of view. Of course, marketing will help in organizing the contents better at a bigger picture and try to beautify it well. So
Yep.
we will. I had shared the profile with, I think, yeah, also Paul, with all the TSC members. I think so. They're okay with the profile.
Okay.
Have you seen the profile, Paul?
I don't know that I have.
Okay, I will send it to you. You also take a look at it.
Okay.
I'm waiting for his confirmation that if he's okay. So basically, he has a PhD from RPI in long back in 80s, and he recently retired from Ericsson, from the Ericsson Research in India.
Okay.
So now he has free time, a lot of time, and he's just
Okay.
retired a few months back, and he is good in this writing research papers and all those things, technical things. So I thought, why not we approach these? Um, I mean, people like him who has been in this research domain, who is working in this thing in the same domain as high performance computing and other things, and who has recently retired, who can do these kind of activities. at a very, very, very reasonable cost.
Okay.
So I will send you his resume also. You can take a look at it. And I'm trying to convince him to work with the OPI as a technical writing thing. He will get back to me by end of this week.
Okay.
So once he okays, we will initiate the formality, and maybe from the first week of February itself, we can start this activity and try to complete all the writing activities. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. It does. It does. Jill, just so you see it, there's this
The typo.
the typo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I'll fix that now.
Oh.
Okay, moving on, then the next thing I had here was just maintaining and growing the community. Here's another typo. Working closely with the sales team. So we have Daphne on the call. I believe, we'll work more closely with her and what she's doing to make sure that they have the information that they need to attract new members. And then, of course, I think we need to be doing more work with some of the other projects, the other networking projects. Sort of piggyback on what they're doing to tell a broader story. And, with the help of Daphne's team, we can do things like infusing lead generation elements into content. So basically that would mean we would take booth scans from OCP and we would create a list of contacts. And from there, we could build out an email campaign of, touch points of reaching out to those people. We'd send a follow-up email thanking them for coming by our booth, sharing more information about OPI, and just putting a little bit of more effort into things like that. And if we, do something similar, if we produce the white paper, require people to fill out a quick form to download content. And then I think we wanted to also build out a stronger pitch deck to use, both trying to attract new members. And so we have a really succinct overview of what OPI is that everyone's kind of reading from the same playbook. Folks could take that deck and use it for just generic presentations and
Yep.
To make sure the messaging is aligned. And then I mentioned the member spotlight blogs. If there's other ideas of things we should be doing, feel free. We can add them in here. But as I said, this is just sort of a starting point.
Okay. Sridhar, one question I was thinking about just seeing DPDK here. We haven't, as OPI, done much work with the DPDK group specifically, correct?
No.
One of the things that F5 has seen is that each vendor's implementation of DPDK on their cards is different enough that it causes extra work for ISVs as they try and work on these cards. So they're either using different versions or they've taken DPDK and then they've enabled a subset of the features and then added features of their own to provide their own secret sauce, but it makes it a real pain. I'm wondering if that's I think that's a Tim Michaels discussion to have with TSC. I don't know if he's ready to have that yet, but it is it's been a problem for us. Like we're not able to write our software in the same way and use it on all of the cards that we interact with.
I mean, if you have a DPDK application, if you want to run it on these cards, you cannot just run it on them because the underlying DPDK implementation is different for different cards.
Yeah, the underlying DPDK that's being used and the way that they're using it is different on all the cards. And it may be things adjacent to DPDK, but you know, for example, Marvell
Oh.
doesn't let the DPDK application own the memory management on the card.
Oh.
Whereas other cards do. And F5 wants to be able to do that. We want to manage the application. For some reason on a Marvell card, we're only able to run a single threaded application.
But still, at least a small amount of huge page that you set it up there, that should be managed by the DPDK application itself, right?
Yeah, that's generally, I mean, that's the way that we manage it.
Uh-huh.
So in other applications, but it doesn't work on some of the cards. And
Okay.
you know, NVIDIA wants to push people to use Doka, which is a Doka wrapped around DPDK, and it exposes some things and not everything. So,
Okay. Okay.
but
Got
I
it.
can't go into the technical details that would need to be discussed to and say, you know, this is what we'd like from all the card vendors to with respect to DPDK. To have a similar way of interacting with the cards. So I think that's an area that we could look at, but I think it needs some more thought before it's brought up as a topic. Because it could, I mean, it's a wholly, I don't know if it's a wholly new topic, but you know, we haven't solved provisioning and life cycle yet, and we're wanting to do something else. So or saying we should do something else. So I don't know if it's the right time, but I think there's something maybe we could do with the DPDK group, and maybe they create a specific DPDK reference implementation on a DPU.
Correct.
So that's a thought.
No, yeah, I will explore, and I also see a potential for an intern project here. Okay, let me dig further on this one. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And I think it's Tim Michaels that, I mean, he's the right technical person to understand what needs to happen. He's not actively working on the project where we're trying to do this across the 3 cards. Other than as the overall kind of technical advisor. So anyway, that's just something I've been thinking about that would make these cards more user-friendly for ISVs and thus for customers who want to do something on these cards.
Got it. Thanks.
So sorry, Jill, I interrupted in the middle.
No,
kinda
it's
took a
all
rabbit trail.
related. It's all related. So if we do some more work with DPDK, we definitely want to talk about it.
Right.
And I actually spent several years doing marketing for that project. So I'm fairly familiar with how it works and a lot of the people over there.
Okay.
So maybe that'll be helpful at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, so then the next slide here is just some KPIs. These were just somewhere to start from. Basically how we want to hold ourselves accountable. And if this is too rigorous, we can change them. I sort of, with the new members one, I tied that to what the board was looking to do. Obviously, you know, marketing is not solely responsible for attracting new members. It's all part of the group effort. But this was just something to start from. So I don't think we need to go through each of these, but if you want to take a few minutes at some point to kind of look through what we have down on paper in more detail. Again, the plan, we don't have to have everything perfect now. It's basically a guide for how we want to structure our marketing this year, and we can, make changes throughout the year, but it's good to have something, a map to start from as we head into the year.
Okay, sounds good.
And then I just posted a draft timeline. It's pretty light for now and generic. But I find this helpful when you're going through the year to kind of see where we are in terms of where we wanted to be. And then of course, add more things as they come up.
Okay. When O&E, is that in June, May, June timeframe? Open Network and
That
Edge?
one, this was actually a leftover from another project. No, the one summit is actually in, it's here. It's in, it's March 31st, so I guess it's technically Q1. It's co-locating with KubeCon, or unofficially co-locating with KubeCon in London. So it's March 31st. It's 1-day event. The difference this year is that the sessions are curated. There's no CFP.
Okay.
So there's also a sponsorship and a booth opportunity. I don't know if it was on the radar or if it's the best fit for the project, but I just put it here because it's an industry event that's happening.
Yeah, and you said it's in London?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not is there a US based one, or they decided to do it in London this year instead of San Jose?
Yes, London instead of San Jose. I think,
Okay.
yeah, it's been this event has been difficult since after COVID to bring it back. We've struggled with attendance and been getting a lot of different feedback. A lot of people last year couldn't travel to the US. We have a lot of the LF networking community has a stronger contingency in Europe.
Oh, okay.
We also heard people were only getting travel allowance for one event and they were picking KubeCon.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just in a different environment than we used to be, and it's a lot of trial and error.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I know that I won't be able to attend that one like I did last year. So having it in San Jose made it quite easy for several of the folks on OPI to just show up and drop in and do a couple hours at the booth.
Yep. And that's why we did it in San Jose last
Yeah.
year, because so many people were local, and then we got feedback from the people in Europe, and it's tough.
Yep.
But
yeah, and it was fairly lightly attended.
Yeah, I know some of the events have come back strong after COVID, but this one is still just kind of chugging along.
Yeah. OCP seemed to come back strong.
Yeah. I haven't been to any of the OCP events, but I've heard they've been very well attended.
Okay. I mean, we can put it there. I don't know if we will do anything with it. I mean, I was not. I mean, Daphne, you know better than I do, but we didn't get a lot of connections or interest from the one summit last year. All the interest that we got was, and meetings that we had were at OCP, if I remember correctly. So anyway, that's my thought.
Okay, well, it's on here. Just I put it in brackets just as an FYI versus, yeah. Okay, well, that's what I had for the plan. Like I said, I think we can, if you're happy with this, we can use this as a map, and then make adjustments as we need to.
Okay.
Is there anything that sticks out to you as missing?
And OCP Global Summit, it's in San Jose again. Is that right?
I believe so. Let me double check. I'm going to look that up right now.
Yeah. Global is always
and that seems to be
our main event.
Yeah.
I mean, SmartNIC Summit 2 years ago was our main event, but then they stopped doing that. I mean, it made sense. We fit very well with what we were doing.
Yeah, it's in San Jose, October 14th through 16th.
Okay.
So Paul, for the regional also, if you have a good story or a good thing to demonstrate for OCP regional, please let me know.
Okay.
We can consider support through the OPI budget, which we have set it up. If any of our members wants to promote OPI with a proper plan at any of the events, OPI governing board has set up a separate budget for the members to travel thing. I will
Okay.
just have to bring it to the board, get approval and support the thing, but they need some proposals. Telling them, hey, this is what we'll be doing in this event. We need support, something like that.
All right. Sounds good.
So should I start promoting our presence at OCP, or do we want to wait until we know we have somebody in the booth?
I think we need to wait until we know we've got some
Okay.
booth.
Wait.
Because no one has stood up and said, yes, we're sending people to this event yet. F5 doesn't have anybody to send, I know that much.
Hey, you don't have set up in Ireland? A lot of companies have in Dublin, especially. Last
Yeah,
time
we have offices in Cork, but no one there is really involved in. The only thing that we've done in Cork is we have one gentleman who has done some Nginx performance testing on the various DPUs, but that's something that OPI doesn't want to talk about. We've specifically said we wouldn't talk about that, is performance across DPUs. But F5 did do some work there, and it was done by an engineer in Cork.
Our OPI's first event participation was in Dublin, Open Source Summit, 2 years
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
And all Mike Lynch and everybody came and gave a talk there at that time.
Yeah. And I think Mike could do that again. But I just don't know that we've got, I don't know he's the right person. He's pretty far up the food chain to be someone standing in a booth all day.
Yeah.
No, not for the booth. Any of his team members for the booth.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like he's getting pigeonholed as like the European face of the project.
Hey, we also have ARM, right? ARM is a strong presence in London or
in the UK, yes.
Yeah.
But Mark hasn't, I haven't heard that he's got anybody going to that event yet.
Okay.
So we can
Okay.
ask you guys can ask in the governing board meeting, because I won't be there.
Sure,
But
I will do
think
that.
Mark will be. So one of the topics should be who's going to OCP in Dublin and who wants to send someone to be at the booth. So that would be good.
Yeah. Okay. At least we can do some demos there at a certain time. A lot of people attend OCP, so that's the best part of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else to discuss?
I don't have anything else to discuss. How about you all? Was that it? I mean, it's a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be on the, I'll be on the board call. I think that's right after this call anyway. So I can give the update on, OCP EMEA and then let them know that we're finalizing a marketing plan.
sounds good.
If I also may add, I'm still waiting for the speaker list for OCP EMEA to be published so that we can start doing our outreach. My team has also started mining social media details from the OPI LinkedIn. That's a possibility that we can do as well. And then, Paul, I'm not sure if you read my email. Just wanted to check in on the folks that you've met during OCP in San Jose. If there's anything that we could do, if we should follow up or,
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, you sent it last week, right?
Yes.
Let me take a look at that spreadsheet. So you're just looking for the notes on what the meetings were about and what we discussed? Okay.
Yes, and if we should be making any follow-ups regarding the membership, if there should be any other, next step or discussion that we should do.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll go about putting some notes in here. It'll
Okay.
have to rack my brain a bit for some of these, but
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.